And this is an important story. It's being called a prison within our prisons. Some Nevada inmates forced to remain in their cells 23 hours a day. And the reasons vary from behavioral issues to safety, or maybe they have to be transported to another facility. Well, News 3's Maria Thompson joins us live in studio. And not only has she been investigating this issue, she happens to also be a law student over at UNLV's Boyd School of Law. So, Maria, through your investigation, what's being done to stop all this?
So, Kim, the ACLU compiled what it calls a story banking project. It's titled 23 Hours, talking to inmates from all over the state about their experience in segregation and how they say staffing issues are keeping them in isolation for months at a time.
It's unbearable.
Contrell Welch is behind bars at Ely State Prison, serving a life sentence with parole, in isolation for 30 months.
I'm irreparably damaged, psychologically, spiritually, depraved. Sometimes it's, where am I at? How do you hold on to reality? What is reality?
Welch is one of more than 1,000 prisoners in segregation inside Nevada's facilities. We told you about Joshua Chavita's long stay in segregation.
Being in the cell all day, in your bed, it's hard on my body, it's hard on my mind. I don't have anyone to talk to.
On and off for about 34 months before he returned to the general population this month. The ACLU of Nevada says it noticed the problem of putting prisoners in administrative segregation for non-disciplinary reasons. It got worse during COVID.
It's just the combination of being understaffed and trying to uphold the same standards that they had before. There's people who, especially since COVID, have not even been out of their cell for weeks.
They put a team together to find out what inmates face in segregation. A series of stories, surveys, and responses, shedding light on what they called a prison within a prison. They say the biggest difference between segregated housing and normal housing, not being able to leave the cell for 23 hours a day, needing 3 guards to escort one person out of the cell, and occasionally 1 hour of yard time each day.
It wears on me. It wears on you. It's just, I don't know how, it's just being in a cell by yourself all day.
Kiki Angertok and Ryan Vortish, two faces behind the project, say the results were alarming.
It is jolting to hear some people talk about their experiences because, like I said, so much of it doesn't feel just, it doesn't feel consistent.
Another big concern, the long-term effects of prolonged isolation.
The number one problem is a lot of the inmates that are held in solitary confinement here in Nevada are in on life sentences. They are going to be released at some point, but they have no way to prepare for being let back out into the world.
Behavioral problems that Vortish says could become a community-wide issue.
They just aren't prepared to succeed in our day-to-day life outside of prison.
The goal of this project, get Nevada's leaders to pay attention and put a cap on the amount of time someone can spend in segregation. Now, Kim, the ACLU plans to publish its 23 Hours project this month. We'll have a link to that on our website, news3lv.com.
So is there anything that you can share with us now about what they're saying in these surveys?
Yeah, so I have most of the surveys right here. Dozens came into the ACLU, and a lot of the problems are rooted in mental health concerns. They feel like there are not enough people within the prisons because of the COVID lockdowns, because of the staffing shortages. There just aren't enough people there to help these inmates access the resources that they need.
And mental health should be a concern for all of us, because I know what some people are thinking. Well, they're in prison, so who cares? I mean, some people will have that attitude. Well, they're not going to always remain in prison, and so we want to have healthy people as far as mentally when they go back into society, and so this is why it's so important. What are the prisons saying?
So back in February, I reached out to the Nevada Department of Corrections for an interview. They sent me a statement about a month ago, and I have it here. I just want to make sure I say it right. So when prisoners are first entered into administrative segregation, within 30 days, there's a review conducted of whether they should stay there. There's also a psychiatrist that's supposed to come in within 30 days to kind of evaluate their mental health at the moment. And then for higher risk inmates, it's about every 6 months. But the problem is some of these inmates are saying that either that evaluation's not happening or that's just still not enough.
I have a feeling we're just starting on this story. We've already learned so much, but clearly we don't have this all put to bed yet. So stay on the case, and we'll continue to check in with you. Great job, Maria. Thank you. Right now, let's check in